And there's 7 of you. Okay. Eh, that's good enough to start, I think. Are we ready? Can you hear me? Oh, all right. Eli nodding. All right, that'll work. Today we begin our actual voyage with R programming. I think you're all going to be kind of happy to leave the command line behind you for now. That's fine. That's a healthy feeling. The command line's kind of, it's hardcore. I understand. It's the taxes you got to pay before you really can figure out how to use Git, though. So consider those taxes paid, and we're ready to get started using R. Let me bring up my screen sharing.
Okay.
Did everybody else lose him?
Yeah.
Can you, is this working now? Am I back? Okay. Sorry about that. I hate computers. They're always screwing up. What's the last thing you heard me say?
You were gonna screen share.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, can you see my screen now?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
And your picture's still frozen too.
I'm just frozen. This is.
Yeah, it looks like that to me.
All right. Will you give me like 3 minutes? I'm just going to restart my computer. I'll be back ASAP. That cool? Hello?
Did you even come back?
Is this working now?
Kinda looks the same to me.
Let me know if you can hear me.
Hear you.
Oh, okay. I can finally hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I hate computers so much. I'm so sorry. All right. I'm going to try this again with the whole screen sharing thing. Okay. Now, is that working?
No, we have nothing.
You have nothing.
Should we maybe leave this like stream and start a new one? Oh wait, now I can see it.
Yeah,
Wait,
now
I can see it now.
assignments.
Yep, I can.
Okay. And you can hear me and you can see my
Yeah.
screen?
Yep.
Whew. This stuff is so stressful. All right. Sorry. Well, okay. Let's start over. Welcome to class, everyone. um, we're finally going to be using R, and today is going to be a pretty low-key introduction to the R Studio software. Okay, we're going to spend most of today kind of getting to know it, learning like little keyboard shortcuts, how to add 2+2, like basic stuff, but I want you to be comfy with it before we do anything crazy. We're going to also start assignment 3 together today, and then we'll work on assignment 4 together next class period. Okay. I really need you to go through and read these two little, they're short, these two little short chapters and this short video. You've basically already done this part of the video. You've set up your little Git directory. That's data course, your last name. Okay. But this goes into what an R project is and why we use them. All right. We'll talk about it in class too, but it's nice to have information from different sources because I need you to be using our projects. All right. Then we're going to cover, hopefully if we have time, for loops, but we're definitely going to cover at least the different types of data that we can read into R. There's a bunch. Okay. And then I've got all these practice things for you. These are going to take a good 15 minutes apiece, right? They're not all for you to work through. It's more like little brain teasers. So if you click on vectors, for example, it's just going to bring up a little PDF, and it's like a consider this vector. What is this value going to be? And it's, you know, multiple choice, just to see if you can kind of think through these problems, right? If you're really struggling with those, then you kind of know what to work with, or what to work on, rather. And so we've got them for each of these little data types that we'll be covering today. Okay. Are we ready? If so, I want you to open up the RStudio that we downloaded so many moons ago on day 1. All right. You open it up, you're going to get something like this. Let me know when you've got it.
How did you get dark mode?
I'm going to show you, don't worry. Because, man, dark mode is so much nicer on your eyeballs. As long as you get it open, that's the important thing right now, and then we'll get it customized for you. We'll start learning what's going on in here. If you don't already have a little shortcut for it, get yourself one, either just on your desktop or like I've got here, kind of in my little sidebar. Because we're going to be using it a lot. Well, we're going to be literally using it for every class period from now on. All right, are we ready? If I don't hear any objections.
I need
Yeah.
like 1 minute. It's
No problem. No problem.
verifying.
You may, if you can't find it, I always just hit my little like super key, you know, where you start typing stuff, and I just type in RStudio, and you can find it that way. If you're on a Mac, your Finder should be able to find it. Go ahead and set up a little shortcut. All right, so I'm going to make this take up my whole screen. I'm going to hit Control-Shift+, or Control+, I guess, to make this bigger so that we can actually read. And Control- or Command- on a Mac will do the same thing. It makes it smaller text, bigger text. All right, definitely give me a little digital hand raise when you see this business.
I got a question.
Okay.
So I download it and whatever, and then it says unable to locate R binary by scanning standard locations. Does that mean I like downloaded the wrong one?
That means that you don't have R. So RStudio is different than R.
Okay.
So
Go
you
down.
need to go do CRAN R in your Google search. It'll take you to cran.rproject.org, and there's download for Mac or Windows right there. So that brings up a good point. RStudio here is not R. It's actually just an interactive development environment. It's called an IDE for computer programming. So RStudio just makes R easier for us to use. Right? R itself is the language. It's a computing language, and if you're in your terminal and you type the letter capital R, if R is installed, it'll bring it up. So you'll see it says, okay, you're in R version whatever. Yours is probably like 4 point something. Ready to go. Okay. You may notice that this is the same stuff that's popping up here in RStudio on my console. All right. But using R in the command line is for Neanderthals. We don't want to do that. All right, so I'm going to hit Q, just like it said, type Q, open, close parentheses to quit R. And save workspace. No, I want out. I don't want to do that. I want to be here in RStudio. So what this little thing does is actually gives us a way to use R interactively. It gives us a nice intuitive way to kind of keep track of the stuff we're typing, to show our plots, all that good stuff. We'll get into it.
Okay, wait, so I have, when I type R in the terminal, that R version 4.0.3 pops up. But you said you want us in the console with that same thing popped up?
Okay, so you're in your terminal and you basically did that and it popped up 4.0.2 or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, you can go ahead and quit. That means that your R is installed and working well. So that's a good sign. That's a good thing. Type in Q, open, close parentheses.
Okay.
Right there. And then it'll say save workspace image. Just type in N for no. And then you can get out of your terminal by typing exit.
What if R didn't do anything in our terminal?
Then you don't have R installed. So you need to get online and type in cran R and make sure that you get it installed. So like download R for Windows, or if you're on Mac, right here. Okay, and so this will give you the latest version of R, and you can get that installed. This should have been done on day 1, assignment 1.
Yeah, then I definitely did it.
Okay. When you open RStudio, do you get this?
Yes.
Okay, then you're good. It's just that your terminal is not liking the command capital R for some reason.
Okay.
We're not going to care about that. That's all right. Given that this class, I mean, we are technically learning a computer programming language, but it's like an interactive one where we're playing around and playing with data. We're not hardcore programmers, so let's just abandon all those preconceptions. We're not going to worry too much.
So when I open up R, it should be like that long, like this long, big, like narrative, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because mine does the exact same thing. When I go to my command line, it doesn't like R for some reason.
Okay. Are you on a Mac or a Windows?
Windows.
Okay, maybe that's just like a Windows command line thing. It doesn't like the R command.
Hmm.
It's always a struggle when we're not like in a computer lab working with the exact same set and versions of software. But I think it's actually better that we do this and get it set up on your laptop or PC so that you have this at home. I mean, it's free and everything. No need to go to campus. And so as long as you see this narrative, it's a good way to put it, when you open up RStudio, you're good to go. All right. Almost all of us have it there. I'm guessing the last 2 of you are still just installing R, getting it going.
So when I'm on the console tab, that isn't popped up. But when I was on terminal tab and typed in R, that popped up.
Okay. We want to be here in the console tab for sure. Nothing happened here.
Yeah, so if I'm in console tab, it's just blank with just the greater than sign.
Can
Is the
you
only thing
share your screen with me? I want to take a look at what you're seeing. Okay. I'm going to put something in the chat for you. Copy and paste that from our chat. List.files.
Is it sharing my screen right now or no?
Yeah. Yeah. I can see
Okay. Okay, sorry. Type it in here.
Yeah. And then open close parentheses and hit enter. Okay, you're good. Good to go.
Okay.
All right, so exit out. Yeah, and I'll share my screen. Now, you're not muted. It sounds like somebody's playing basketball.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no worries. All right, put your hands down. We're good to go. Now, let's meet RStudio. We're all in here. It sounds like we've all got it going. We're going to start by seeing these 3 little windows. Each one of them has a bunch of different tabs on it. This one, let's just leave it on console for now. The terminal, that's actually your like bash terminal like we used before. Okay, so we can use bash from within RStudio. Pretty convenient. but we want it to be here on console. Okay. This is what is actually going on like in the behind the scenes part of R. This is the R language thing happening here. Okay. All of our output from any commands we run is going to pop up here, all that kind of stuff. Now over here in the top right, I think you should all have the same stuff. Environment, history, and connections. Is that what you've got? Okay. So history literally just keeps track of all the things that you've entered into the console. Environment shows you variables and objects that your R knows about. We'll see those pop up in a second. Okay. So for now, let's just leave it there on environment. And then down here in the bottom right, we've got files, plots, packages, help, and viewer. All right, if you click on files, you should see a bunch of files and directories. Does that work? Okay. Looking at that, can you tell me where I currently am in my computer?
Are you just in like your user? I don't know what that's called.
Well, it lists
That's
it right
home.
here, actually, home.
Oh, just home.
Right. So now if I click on desktop, you'll see that it says you're in home desktop. Okay. So we can use this like a little file browser. I've got data course my last name right there. I can click on that and it says I'm in home desktop data course my last name, and I'll see my assignments, my data, some README stuff. All right. You should be able to navigate to your folder there. So go ahead and do that. Make sure that everything looks right. If I click on data, then it should have all the stuff that we're going to be working with. You can resize these windows as you see fit. I've got mine with like giant text, obviously, and so things are a bit wonky, but you can move these around if you need a bit more space to kind of see things.
Something bad happened on mine. I clicked desktop and then it gave me a new window in the top left.
It did?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see that. Share your screen. That sounds exciting. Because I've never encountered that before. Oh, you didn't click desktop the folder. You
No,
clicked
yeah, I clicked that.
desktop.ini. Okay, and so what it did was actually open up that file, and it's letting you edit it up there in the top left. Okay, what I would do is click on the X right there for desktop.ini. Yeah, you're real close. Just get out of that. Okay, now let's see. You're in home.
I don't see a desktop.
What's the path, the directions to your data course, your last name, data course Smith? Okay, so it's home, desktop, data course Smith. So that should be in there. Let's take a look for it. Maybe we're just missing it.
It looks alphabetical, but I do not see it.
That's pretty annoying. Okay, scroll all the way up to the top of that list. Oh, I don't even see the dot. Now, this is annoying, but it's not going to be a massive problem because we're going to be using what's called R projects. We'll learn about them in a second. That's okay. Everything otherwise looks pretty good. Yeah, so you got
Oh.
your console, environment history connections, a tutorial. I don't have that tab. That's pretty cool. I don't know what that is. Oh. Hey, so there's a package for learning R. That's neat. So you don't even need this class. So you can probably just stop showing up and use the tutorial. Maybe.
Yeah,
I
no
don't know if it's
thanks.
any good or not. All right, I think you're okay.
Okay.
You're all right.
Uh,
All right, my screen back up.
Yeah.
All right. So this is fun, right? Brand new program. This is fun software. We're using RStudio. Let's show you how to find dark mode. Okay, up at the very top, we've got all these different tabs here, right? File, edit, code, view, plots, session, build, debug, profile, and tools. I want you to go to tools, and then down at the very bottom is global options. Okay. So tools, global options, and it should show you something like this. Now there's a few things I need you to do, and the others are optional. All right. The first one, so we've got all these different things we can change here. First one, up in general, I want yours to look pretty much just like mine. I do not want that checked. I do not want that checked, and I definitely don't want that checked. And then I want save workspace to our data on exit. That needs to be never. Okay, so make sure these first three things are unchecked, and that's set to never. Okay. Now, here it's saying the default working directory. So when you're not in a project, we're not going to have to worry too much about that because we are always going to be in a quote-unquote project. But I've got mine set to desktop/r output. That's fine. What are some of yours set at automatically? I don't remember.
Mine's blank.
Blank?
I have like a little squiggle, like the
Oh, just a squiggle?
Oh,
yeah.
the tilde. Yeah, I have tilde.
Okay. Well, let's browse there and just make it your desktop so that here's the thing is that if you accidentally forget to start an R project, which you shouldn't do because then you'd like fail the assignment and everything. But if you do accidentally, what that means is that all your output, like the graphs and stuff that you make and try to export, they're going to go straight to your tilde directory, which is short for home. You don't want to be cluttering up your home directory with stuff. So you can make it desktop data course my last name if you want. For me, I've got R output, and you'll see that I don't even have a folder called R output because nothing ever goes there. So it's not ultra important. But just so you know, that's where all your stuff is going to go by default if you're not in a project. Okay. So to reiterate, uncheck, 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 never. Advanced, don't worry about it. Okay. Now, there's some other stuff we can do to customize our environment here. Code, let's see here. Surround selection on text insertion, quotes and brackets. That's going to be really handy for us to make sure that's checked here in the code. All this other stuff's not super important. That's all right. This one here, Control Enter executes multi-line R statement. That's probably good to have. Okay. And then the part everyone wanted to know about, the appearance. This is where you can set your theme. I've got mine on Merbivore, which is a nice dark with high contrast. But there are plenty of different themes that you can pick from. So find one that suits you. I'll give you a minute or two to kind of get this done. Man, that is... Tomorrow Night Blue is hideous. Okay. And so that's how you get the nice custom theme with colored text, dark background that's easier on the eyes, all that business. All right. Questions so far? You should have your 3 panes. You can customize those to look the way you want, and they should be working. We good? All right. We got 1 thumbs up. We can't see the rest of your lovely faces, but okay, we're getting some hand raises. Cool beans. All right. Let's do our first bit of R coding here. This is going to be super exciting, I promise. 1 plus 1. Are you ready? If I hit enter here, what's going to happen? 2. This is great. We've got ourselves a nice calculator, almost as good as your cell phone. All right. Now the output's actually a bit different than just the number 2. It gives us a 1 in brackets and then 2, basically saying that the first output thing from that command is 2. All right. Three star 2. What's that going to do?
6.
Yeah. There it is. There's 6. 2 caret 2. Any predictions? 2 to the second power. That's 4. 5 minus 1? 4. All right. We getting the feel for this? It's nice and smooth. We've got ourselves a nice little calculator, essentially. We can do arithmetic that way. 6 divided by 2 should be 3. Okay. Now, unlike a lot of programming languages like Python, Perl, Ruby, JavaScript, all those, this one really is built by statisticians for doing statistics. Okay, and so like all this math stuff, even calculus, is built into R. It comes native with it. You don't have to worry about installing extra packages or weird libraries or anything. It is a statistical software language. It's ready to go out of the box. And that's what we're looking at here. Okay. However, this is not the best use of R, and here we are just in the terminal typing it. If I went to my terminal here and typed in capital R, this may not work for some of you on Windows, and say 1 plus 1, I get the exact same output. There's my 2. Okay. 2 to the 5th power, 32. Okay. So this console here is what you would have if you were using R in your command line terminal. But we can do better, and this is where RStudio really shines. Okay. Once you go up to File, New File, RScript. And you'll see on mine it says that Control-Shift-N is the shortcut for that. And so whatever that shortcut is for you, learn it. Okay. New file, R script. Lo and behold, I get a new window. And so now I got 4. So up here, I've got a file that's actually open. It's called Untitled1 right now, but I can save this as anything. Okay. I've also got my console down here, got my environment, and then all my files being displayed. So let's try just a couple things to get the feel for this before we start loading data and looking at stuff and doing assignment 3. 1 plus 1. And hit enter, and nothing happened. Why didn't anything happen?
Are you basically just typing in a document? You're not making commands?
I am. I'm typing in a document. I'm not making commands. Well, I'm writing commands that I may want to use later, but it really, literally is just a text document that's open. Okay. So if I wanted to run that command, I can put my cursor anywhere on that line and hit Control Enter. Command Enter if you're on a Mac. It's the same as clicking on this little Run button. All right, so right here I've got Run. It runs the current line or selection. Control Enter for me. What happens when I do that? Where's my output?
In the command line down below on the console.
It stuck it on the console. Yep. Okay. So 3 plus 2. There's my answer. 5 down there. Now get really familiar with the muscle memory of Control Enter. Okay. If I highlight both these lines, I'm just holding Shift and hitting the down key to highlight both those lines. Anything that's highlighted, when I hit Control Enter, it's going to run just the highlighted parts. All right, so let's try this. 4 plus 4, 6 plus 6. I'm going to highlight just those 2 bits, hit Control Enter, and it ran both of them in turn. Okay. So that's pretty useful, I guess. I mean, if you want to know what 4 plus 4 is, you know how now. It's pretty great. All right. But that's not actually that useful, is it? Except what's nice about it is that we've got this complete memory of everything that we've done. This is reproducible science at its best already. Even though it's a stupid example, we've got this like nice record of all the commands that we ran. Yeah, we have our output here. Almost who cares about the output? This is what we want, is how we got to that output. All right, so I'm going to highlight all that and hit backspace just to delete it, clear it out. If I put a hashtag in here, what's that going to do? You notice that it changed the color of that line for me. What's the hashtag? highlight all of this, hit Control Enter.
It's like a note adding option.
Yeah, it's for you, the human being, to keep track of what's happening in your code. These are actually way more important than you might realize. Very seldom, if ever, I'm actually going to put money on never, are you going to just add 1 and 1 in R, right? That's not going to be why you open up RStudio to do a data analysis project to find out what 1 plus 1 is. So that comment might not be important, but if you have some convoluted code or whatever, you, the human, need to have a note as to what's about to happen. Okay. This helps you figure out your errors. It helps me grade things. It keeps a nice record of what you're doing. Okay. So the hashtag can be added anywhere, and everything to the right of it is ignored. If I could 2 plus 2, I can write code to myself, the human being, with a little hashtag just to the right of that. I hit Control Enter while on that line, and it says, okay, here I'm adding 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 hashtag, this is 2 plus 2, and it just gives me my answer. And so R is actually ignoring anything that begins with a hashtag and everything to the right of it. Right. So I'm going to create a variable, and then I'm going to hit Alt minus. What Alt minus does is it gives me a little arrow. I could also just type that out with a less than and then a dash. That's fine. But Alt minus is faster because you're going to be typing a lot of these arrows. All right, so I want you to type out and run that line right there. And tell me what happens.
I got it in my values.
Yeah. So if I highlight that and run it, it pops up here. And I've got something called my variable, and the value is 4. All right, you geniuses. If I type in the first 3 letters of something that exists in my global environment as a value, it'll give me a little drop down. So I can just hit enter. What is that going to give me?
5.
It gave me 5, and it stuck it right here on my console. That should make sense. Let's talk through what's actually happening here. I can set almost any name I want as a variable. In R, we call this an object. Okay, we're creating an object, and it's going to have some value. In this case, with my little arrow means assign. So I'm going to assign 2 plus 2 to be the value of my variable. And if I have run that, it should pop up here on the right-hand side, top right. That value is 4, because 2 plus 2. And so now, anytime I want to access the value of my variable, R knows about it. It knows that that is 4. And so it's perfectly capable of adding 1 to it. following me so far? If not, let me know.
When I typed Alt minus, it didn't work, but if I just typed in like the arrow dash, it did work.
Okay. Let's see here. If I go up to help, there's a keyboard shortcut help. Click on that. It's going to give you this whole, all these keyboard shortcuts. It's a lot to learn. And so we'll just pick them up one at a time as we kind of get to them. Insert. So for me, insert assignment operator is here under source editor. And mine is alt minus. What's yours say there? If anything.
Oh, it's not that.
Oh, what is yours?
It's this like I don't know. It's like a dash and then kind of like a backward S and then like a high little dash and a low little dash.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah.
You're probably not the only one.
You see this?
Insert assignment operator. Oh, what is that?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Wow. That's not anywhere on my keyboard.
That is a Mac, right?
Yeah, I'm on a Mac.
Does anyone know what that character is?
The X or the
Maybe
Isn't
it's like your command.
your first one is command.
Yeah. So try command minus.
This like slidey thing is a command button.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Okay.
So yeah, try command minus right there.
Command minus.
No?
What is that doing?
Maybe it's making your text smaller.
Oh, I don't want that.
How odd. Okay.
I don't know. I can just type it. That's okay. Fine.
Yeah, typing it'll work. Well, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
You're going to miss out on a nice little shortcut until we figure out what that little thing is. Okay, well, for those of you who alt minus isn't working, I apologize because, man, that's just, oh, it's a beautiful thing. Oh. All right. In the meantime, you do have to just go ahead and type less than minus. That's your assignment operator. Okay. What it does is it takes the value of whatever's on the right side and it assigns that to whatever's on the left. Okay. Now let's look at your first actual R command. And it's a lowercase c. Everything is cap sensitive here. And if you type in an open parentheses, it'll automatically give you a close. So this is the basic format of how like our commands will work all the way.
Can you share your screen again?
Oh, of course. Okay, so if I type in a lowercase c and then open parentheses, it should autocomplete for me. Give me that little close one. So this is known as a function. Right? R has thousands of functions, and we can use more by downloading other people's packages that they've written. You can write your own functions, but it's just a way of doing something. So we've got like this C one. If I say 1, 2, 3, hit Control Enter on that and tell me what it does.
It printed out the numbers.
Yeah. It stuck them together. And so C is actually short for concatenate. It's just like in our terminal, our command line, when we typed in cat. It sticks things together. Now, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to add a +1 to that. And I got 2, 3, 4. Why?
It added to those numbers.
It added 1 to each one of those numbers. Now, this is an important feature of R that's not present in a lot of other programming languages. The jargon for this is that R is a vectorized programming language, which all that really means is that it likes working with long sequences of numbers. And we just gave it one that's 3 numbers long. And so any mathematical operation we do to a sequence of numbers, it's going to do it to each one in order really fast. So what is that going to give us?
2, 4, and 6.
Yep. It's multiplying each one of those values by 2. Okay. You're all getting this. So I'm going to say what's var times 2? Anyone?
Is it just 2, 4, 6?
It is just 2, 4, 6. Why?
Because there are still separate numbers even as a variable.
Let's look over in our top right here. There's var. It's a value. This is saying it's a numeric value. It's got 3 things in it. It's 1 through 3. And those numbers are 1, 2, and 3. And so we actually just created our first new data type. This is called a vector. Okay. So if you go to here, you'll see vectors is one of our new data types. So what is a vector? just made another value. I concatenated A in quotes, B in quotes, and C in quotes. It popped up here, A, B, C. var2 times 2 will give me an error. All right, what's going on?
So does putting it quotes make it like text or something? So the number can't work with it?
Yeah, what is A times 2? The letter A times 2.
2A?
No,
It's not a numerical value.
you can't. It's nothing. It's the letter A. It doesn't mean any number yet unless we assign it a number. And so we've got A, B, and C. You can see them over here in the top right. We created another vector right here, but notice the difference. Var, it says num 1, 2, 3. This one says CHR. It's a character. So that CHR is short for character. So our language, R, actually knows the difference between numbers and letters. This is important because it can be used to analyze text-based data, like DNA sequences or survey responses or anything like that. And so it knows the difference because we put it in quotes. All right, so a brain teaser for you. var3 is concatenate. What is var3 times 2?
It's not going to work.
Error. We could predict that this wasn't going to work because we looked over here in the top right and we see that var3 is a character vector. Okay. And so the character 1 doesn't have any value to R. It's just literally the letter 1. Okay. So together we have made two different types of vectors. We've made a numeric vector and two character vectors. Now there's a shortcut for doing integers. 1:10 gives us 1 through 10. That's nice and convenient. Okay. So I could say 1 through 10 times 2. That gives us 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So this 1 through 10 is also a vector. Okay. Seeing what we've seen so far, what can you tell me about what a vector is? It's this grand, important data type. R is famous for being a vectorized language, blah, 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 blah. What is a vector?
Data points of magnitude and direction.
Hey, you're onto something there. So you're thinking like physics.
Math, yeah.
Yeah. It's very much like math. One thing I can tell you is that a vector is one-dimensional. It's just a list of values. Okay. So 1 through 10, that's one-dimensional. Think of it like an Excel spreadsheet. We're going to be working a lot with this kind of data right here. column A here is a vector. It has some properties to it. First off, it's numeric in nature. Okay. It has a length of 8, and it's got a dimension of 1. Column B is also a vector. It's got a dimension of 1, it's got a length of 8, and it's got, what type of vector is it? It's got a class that it belongs to.
Character?
Character. Yep. That's what we're dealing with here. It's basically just like columns of an Excel spreadsheet. We're dealing with one-dimensional stuff. Okay. In this case, it's just the numbers 1 through 10. I could do 1 through 1 with a bunch of zeros, and I got an error. What's my error about?
There isn't enough memory available or enough storage.
My laptop sucks too much to even keep that large number in memory. Okay. Apparently, it would take 74.5 gigabytes of memory to store all of these numbers. That's not super surprising. Let's take off a few of those. Okay. So I can have 10 million numbers in memory. That's all right. And here's what it gave me. By default, it's printing the first 1,000. Let's take a look at this. It's saying that the first one is 1, all the way through 13, and then it kind of wraps around, and it says the 14th one is 14. You following so far? Well, let's take a look at something here. Built into R, you've already got some stuff. You've got something called letters. That's a variable that exists. If I hit Control Enter on that, it gives me my letters of the alphabet in lowercase. If I type this in uppercase, it gives them to me in uppercase. All right. What is letters square bracket 5?
E. Okay.
E. Does that make sense? What's the square bracket doing? If letters square bracket 5 is E, what does that square bracket refer to?
It selected the 5th letter.
It is. It's exactly that. It's the 5th element. That's the jargon for you. It's the 5th element of the vector letters. Okay. I'm teaching you the jargon because you're going to want it when you're Googling stuff. Okay. So we've got a vector called letters, and we've taken the 5th element of it, the 5th thing in that list. Can you guess what this one's going to give us? Letters, square brackets, 5:7.
It's going to give us the letters that are the 5th letter, 6th letter, and 7th letter.
Yep, so it should be EFG. And there it is, EFG. All right, these square brackets let us access elements of our vectors or of our data frames or other data types that we get to know. All right, they let us like subset things. If you have a gigantic data set, that is super handy right there. We just want the 5th through the 7th of letters. All right, I'm gonna get really, really wacky with you. Now I've done a concatenate, and then inside my parentheses, meaning this is a function, I've stuck 3, 4, 5 letters, square bracket, 5:7. What is that going to give me?
It just listed the numbers 3, 4, 5, and then the letters E, F, G.
It just stuck them together. So concatenate takes things separated by commas and it sticks them together. It concatenates them. Oops. But it did something a bit weird. If I go +1 to that, it gives me an error. So it didn't really take the numbers 3, 4, 5. What did it do?
Made them text.
It made them text. Why would it do that?
So that the set matches, so the numbers and the letters match.
Man, you are on fire. That's amazing. It does. It has to make everything match. So here's another property of a vector, is that every element of that vector has to be the same type. You can't mix numbers and letters. So what it did was it said, I know how to turn the number 3 into the character 3. Can do that. But I don't know how to turn the character capital E into a number. And so it found like the least common denominator essentially, and it turned them all into what it could fit them all into. Typically, that means turning everything into a character. That's kind of what happens in ours, because R knows how to turn anything into a character by putting quotes around it. And so that's what we got here, is we got the letters 3, 4, 5, and then E, F, G. Okay. So a vector must all be of the same type. And if you give it different types, it will coerce them all into a common denominator.
I have a question about the letters with the brackets.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that you could pick like 5 through 7 and then also like, I don't know, 10 through 15 in one command?
Yes, and you actually already know how to do that. You just don't know it.
Oh.
Letters. Inside of the square brackets, we can concatenate stuff. So we could say 5 through 7, comma, 10 through 15. Now this looks confusing, but really if I highlight just the C part, so I'm concatenating 5 through 7 and 10 through 15. If I just highlight that and hit Control Enter, it gives me 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And so if I put that inside of the square brackets, I'm asking letters to return these elements, which in this case is E, F, G, J, K, L, M, N, O. And so we can use concatenate inside of square brackets. This is a bit further than I was wanting to get today, but I think it's a good example to kind of show you how powerful things can get, is that we can combine all these different functions that we're learning, stick them inside of square brackets or next to each other, add things together. It's all good. All right, so I could take that and then send it to a new object called sum letters. Hit Control Enter, and sum letters pops up over here. It's a character vector, It's got 9 elements in it, and it's showing you the first few that fit. Okay. Now the last thing I want to cover before we take a break till next class period, where we'll start working on assignment 3 together, is that we can save this, everything we've done here, because it is just a document file. It really is just a text file. And so Control S, or you can go to File, Save. Okay. You're going to want to stick this somewhere where you can get it again, probably. Obviously, what we just did was not groundbreaking, like data analysis, but if you wanted to save it, you could save it in data course, your last name, and just call it whatever you want. First R script. By default, it's going to save it with the file extension .r. Okay, that's fine. I hit enter, and you can see it's changed the name of it up here. It's first rscript.r. And so now I've saved everything we've done today. I could rerun this script in order and get my new values back. I realize you don't care about var3 being the characters 1, 2, and 3. But if this were DNA sequences and you just spent half an hour writing the script, you definitely want to save it and be able to get back to this point in your analysis. Okay. So we can save our script up here, and it contains the history of all the commands that we've run, which is very convenient. All right, questions so far about R or RStudio or what these different window panes are. We've got our script up here. We can type in it. If we want to run something, it's Control Enter. The actual hard work of R is going on down here in our console. So this is where the language is performing its stuff. Up here in the top left, that's where we're like playing around and composing things. Cool so far? Well, I'm not hearing any objections.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So next class period, we're going to start with assignment 3. If I were you, I would go ahead and look it over. Okay. Get a feel for it. I would also get in here and do the vectors practice. Okay. Because we're going to start looking at inequalities. Okay. So we'll be using these all semester long. 3 is greater than 4. False. Right? We can ask R these true-false questions all day long, and it really, really helps us out. So how about this? 1 through 10 is greater than 3. False, false, false. True, 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 true. And so looking at this, I want you to try typing these in. We're making a vector, and then see if you can predict what the outcome is going to be based on these inequalities. Okay, this is going to show you how to look at 2 vectors at the same time, all that good stuff. So run through this vectors exercise and look through assignment 3 before we meet next time. Go ahead and watch the short video and then these 2 short chapters, because next time we're going to start by loading up an R project and working on assignment 3, and it's got a lot of these true-false questions going on in it. We'll be working in our project, so I don't want you to be struggling to keep up as we do that. If you take care of these and do the vectors practice, you'll be on point. So that's your assignment for today and tomorrow. Good?
Should we make the R project?
No, we'll walk through that in class at the beginning of class. But I want you can if you want, just for practice, but we will definitely cover that kind of in person. The video will help you kind of see what we're about to do, so it's not foreign to you when you see it on Thursday. Okay, we're out of time, but for those of you who want to stick around, I'm curious to get your feedback on your thoughts and feelings about the fact that you're learning a programming language as a biologist. Your fears for this, what isn't making sense, what you like about it so far, what you hate, all that stuff. I kind of want to get a temperature check as to where we are as a class. I've been through this process myself. I taught myself how to code. It was one of the worst experiences of my life, and so I'm kind of like remembering back on how much I hated planet Earth when I was learning this, and I don't want that to be your experience. And so I want your feedback, what we can do better to kind of like deal with this.
I guess I kind of go back to when I was learning R for the first time about a year ago. I was working with Aaron, and I was trying to learn R on my own, like through like a free program. This is definitely easier to kind of do it as a class because, like, I guess you just have someone to talk to if you have questions and concerns.
Yeah, for sure. With that in mind, that means that I do want you to talk to me.
Yeah.
So that is the point of taking this. When I learned, I used this program called Data Camp. It's like a website.
Oh yeah, I think I used the exact same one.
Right.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I mean, at the time, I wasn't taking any other classes, and my boss said, "I thought you already knew R, you idiot. You have 2 weeks to learn it." And so I had 2 weeks with Data Camp, and I spent about 16 hours a day, but I didn't have anyone to talk to.
Yeah.
Horrifying. And so the talking to somebody, like I just got a weird error message, what's this, that it really helps. And so I think that's like the benefit of doing this in a class.
Yeah.
So if any of you are thinking, oh, what's happening, I just got a weird error message, let me know. That's why we're here. We're here to make mistakes together. This isn't going to be perfect. I will make mistakes while I'm coding live. I promise you, it happens. My favorite, you know how you fill out the little SRI forms at the end of the...
Oh yeah.
Man, I always get some real doozies, but last semester was my favorite ever for this class. The professor doesn't even know what he's doing. He made mistakes all the time while he was coding. Have you ever met a software engineer? Like, they sit there with Google open. Like, this is how it works. Like, mistakes happen. They're normal. I want to definitely normalize that. So when they do happen, bring them to me.
Right.
I'm going to make them, sometimes on purpose. Sometimes it'll just be because I'm human and I don't actually speak computer. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
With that in mind, if you feel tempted to leave an SRI comment that says, I don't know what I'm doing, I actually do. I'm pretty good at R. I do it professionally. So, you'll give me a good chuckle if you leave that note.
Oh yeah. So on that I guess on the subject of like weird messages, I was going through last week's exercises, and it was the one where you want to find a specific name in all the time points.
Yeah.
And I ran a find execute command for it, and it came up with zeros and ones, and it gave me the ones like in specific positions where that name was mentioned in those time points, but it didn't list the time points. Does that make sense?
It does. So let's see. That was assignment 2, right?
So it was just, yeah, it was like last week, and it was just the exercises. I think it was the last one too.
Um,
I think it was the client names.
oh yeah. Okay, so you ran find exec, and then was it grep that you were using as your
Yes,
program?
I was.
Okay, and then what did you give to grep for that?
I gave grep -C Adrian Clapp.
Okay, so -C means count, and so
Oh,
you're
count.
counting the number of times
Oh, okay.
that Adrian Clapp turned up.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
I
You
thought
leave
the
off the
-C was just
-C
the general.
special. Yeah,
Okay. So then if I wanted to list the time points, would you just do,
just grep without the -C.
oh, just grep? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that was in what?
I think it was
Data
in, oh, there was names.
names. Okay, so I'm doing find dot type file. I'm going to execute grep. We'll just look for Adrian in all of those files. So that,
Okay.
yeah,
That'll give you all the time points.
without the
Or,
.c or -c. Yep.
okay.
So now, if I wanted the time points, which column was that? I think 3.
It was 3, yeah.
Yeah. I could send that to with pipe to cut my delimiter being a comma and then field 3. Right. And that's working for
Okay.
all except that one.
Okay.
Are we talking about some other stuff that was not part of this assignment? Number 2?
It was the practice. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Like the code exercises. Just for you overachievers who like want to be good at this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because also I was like confused doing the find execute thing anyway last week, and I was like, should probably practice this.
Yeah. We're not going to be, using this very much at all in this class. We'll do equivalents in R, but
Okay.
where this really comes in handy is like, okay, I've got literally 600,000 DNA sequence files, and I'm going to search each one of them for this particular gene of interest, right? You could do a find exec and have it return the gene of interest.
Okay.
And so it's good for the concept of find all these things, act on those file paths with this particular program. And so conceptually, it's going to be very useful for R, but specifically, it becomes more useful for when you're like doing real hardcore bioinformatics and trying to,
Okay.
look for, coronavirus variants that have the new spike protein.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Cool.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying my line 6 gave you a bunch of weird symbols, so I was kind of confused about that.
Is that Steven?
Yes.
Okay. Let me not share my screen so that I'm not showing everyone your work. Okay. Now it's assignment 2. Oops, wrong class. Okay. Can I just show you what I see here?
Yeah, you
All
can
right.
show it. I'm not worried about it or anything.
So I think it may be like the way it got pasted in.
Oh,
but
what the?
Yeah.
That's odd.
What program did you use to type this up in?
Notepad.
Oh,
So yeah, after the SH is basically the brackets, the forward slash, and the semicolon.
yeah, and I see the bracket, and there's the closed bracket, and then the forward clash slash semicolon. But these weird things got added in, meaning that it was like maybe a weird font or something that got converted strangely into plain text. And so I thought that maybe you were using like Microsoft Word or something.
Yeah.
All right, so it's just something to keep in mind. You really want to make sure that after you upload it to Canvas that it looks right.
Yeah, and I downloaded it, and then it downloaded the same for me on 2 different computers.
Let me try this. Let me try a download. Maybe it might be Canvas being weird. Yeah, it's just Canvas being weird.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and fix your grade right now while I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's annoying. It's always something. Computers are picky, whiny little turds. They are. But that's okay. We work through it. We get it fixed. I'm not going to be like a real hard ass about, it didn't look right on Canvas, so you're not going to get your grade. Don't worry about that. For the most part, from now on, we're going to be turning things in on Git anyway. And so things will look correct on there for sure. All right. Well, I hope we didn't move too fast today. We covered 10% of what I planned on covering, but that's all right. We got all semester.
I have a question just about getting. So like when I go to the assignment 3, I don't get the full one. I just get this shortened one.
In Canvas or where? Like on our website?
So if I go, that's what okay. I was looking at the wrong spot. I was just confused.
Okay. So this one here, this little short one.
Yeah, that's not
script. Yeah, so this is kind of just the short instructions of what to turn in. We're going to actually be using this assignment 3 R script.
Okay.
And since it's a .r, Firefox doesn't want to open it, and so it's this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, I'll see you all on Thursday.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah.
Sorry. So, I woke up Friday not feeling the best, just like a crazy migraine headache. Got tested yesterday and I have COVID. So, I have not been at school since Tuesday morning. And I am obviously not there today. So I don't think Friday is possible, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not possible. I don't want to catch COVID.
Yeah.
And as cruel as it sounds, I would rather have you die than me die. So, okay.
Me alone, not both of us.
No, I hope you get better. It's fine. These are strange times. We'll get to it when I get to it. Our funding isn't going anywhere. The lab's not going anywhere. We've got equipment in there. It's okay.
Okay. I emailed you. I kind of had a meltdown. I wasn't feeling too good, and now I understand why. but I just wasn't understanding, and I tried to do it by myself, and I just couldn't do it. It was really frustrating. And obviously I procrastinated, but I got it turned in. But looking at his assignment, it looks like I didn't number it correctly. I just pushed everything to GitHub, and I pushed it all to. I got everything like that good, but do you want me to redo it and number it 1 through 6, or?
Well, I mean, technically that was the assignment. What I would like for you is to. This isn't that important, okay?
Yeah.
What's important is that you realize that as we go through this course, things have to be very specific, right?
Yeah.
And so, if a comma is out of place, it won't work. And so I want you to be like, the lesson I want is for you to focus on, okay, let's look for commas, let's make sure that all the parentheses are closed, that kind of thing. So for this assignment, no, you're fine.
Okay.
How about you focus on getting better and not infecting anybody?
Yeah, I'm just sitting in my room, which is honestly much more boring than I thought it would be, but it should be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. And if you're not, then that really sucks. But hopefully you're okay and you don't spread it and you get better next 2 weeks. We'll deal with it. In the meantime, I recommend the cartoon Adventure Time. It's really nice for sitting around in bed.
I got rapid tested yesterday, but my symptoms are really weird. I just had like a crazy migraine since Friday morning, but I can smell, I can taste, I can do everything like that. But thankfully, because I had a migraine, I just laid in the dark for the last 3 days. So I wasn't off touching or infecting anybody, which is very convenient.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird to hear like all the different anecdotal ways that COVID's affecting people. There are people in like their late 20s who are just getting a stroke out of nowhere and dying. You know, like that's how COVID got them. Like, dang, they didn't have any respiratory symptoms. Sense of smell was fine. They just like dropped dead. I mean, that's obviously a very rare case, but like we don't know how this thing is interacting with our personal genomics at this point. So everyone's getting different symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I understand a little bit better now. And obviously this Friday doesn't work, but I actually was pretty excited to go and do stuff. But
well, it's all right. We roll with the punches.
Yeah. And I'll go watch some Adventure Time for my good old friend Pirate Bay, the classic.
Yeah. There's this episode, it's called Jake the Brick.
Isn't Jake the dog?
Yeah, Jake the dog, but it's called Jake the Brick, where Jake the dog like becomes a brick in an old wall for a few days just to see what it's like. It is the most meditative, like greatest piece of television of all time. Truly incredible. You watch it, you'll feel better. All right.
I'll have to watch it. I'll send you this funny screenshot I saw on Reddit though. It was like by nature, it was like why science is becoming more inaccessible, and to read the article is an $8 fee. So your whole talk about Sci-Hub and how it is necessary.
Yeah.
The irony is very thick there.
$8. That's at least cheap compared to like 60 for some articles.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh well. Well, have a good one. Thank you for talking to me.
See ya.